Hello, everybody, and we're continuing our special series about the businesses that work in and around the sport of rowing. And today, I'm absolutely delighted to be introducing the San Diego Crew Classic team.
Hi, I'm Bobbie Smith, and I'm the Executive Director for the San Diego Crew Classic. This is my second year. I had the prestigious honor of canceling it my first and going virtual my second.
And I'm Craig Doan. I am serving as the race operations coordinator for Crew Classic for 2021. I also served in that role for 2020. Unfortunately, as Bobbie mentioned, it got canceled. And so looking forward to putting on a good regatta this year.
So for people who've never heard of the San Diego Crew Classic, and bearing in mind we're a global podcast, what is the San Diego Crew Classic and when does it happen?
Well, the San Diego Crew Classic has, first of all, been around since 1973. So it has been around for a very long time. And it started as a regatta sort of because, all of the regattas are back east in the United States. And there are a number of West Coast crews that are fast. And so they wanted to sort of prove that the West Coast crews could stand up to racing the East Coast crews. So the very first Crew Classic on the men's side, the University of Washington and Navy came, and the University of Washington won. So it's a big deal. It's annually on Mission Bay. Our tagline is the rowing season starts here because we're the first major sprints regatta of the season. And it is this year, it's going to be March 27th, not on Mission Bay like it would normally be. It's going to be in your home or your boathouse, wherever it is that you choose to take part in it. And we're actually really excited to have a regatta this year and really looking forward to having one, having everyone take part in it.
Yeah, I particularly noticed the beautiful poster you have framed behind you on the wall. That's classic.
Yes, it's an amazing place to live. It's, I think it's 70 degrees in Fahrenheit. I have no idea what that is in Celsius, maybe 20 degrees Celsius. And, blue skies here. So it's beautiful right now. And it's like that most of the time.
You have a legendary local climate, don't you? That's really not humid like the rest of California.
Well, California is not a terribly humid place, but San Diego is particularly not humid. It's pretty dry here, which is nice, and it makes it so it's definitely one of those places where you can go rowing in the morning and you could go skiing or snowboarding in the afternoon because it's that close to the mountains as well. It is really a remarkably beautiful place. We're very lucky.
Do you know the only place in the UK when you can do that is Glasgow in Scotland?
Oh, really?
And it's a long drive to the ski slopes. Now, let's talk a little bit about what are the popular events that you have in the whole regatta, Craig?
So luckily, we're able to accommodate pretty much everybody when it comes to Crew Classic every single year, typically on the water. So we do run across both our masters, juniors racing, as well as collegiate. The biggest races for us, we have our big invitational for the men's side on the collegiate, which is the Copley Cup. And then for the women's, the D1 women's NCAA programs have the Jessup Whittier as their invitational. But again, we're lucky to be able to accommodate, particularly this year with the virtual regatta, pretty much everybody, juniors, masters, and collegiate rowers. And
what boat classes do you offer, Craig?
This year, we are running 8s, quads, and 4s on the water as well as on the ergs. And we can get into kind of how we're situating that here in a bit.
So normally, though, do you offer those boat classes?
There's the same boat classes that we typically have on the water every year. We have introduced some mixed 8 lineups in recent years and are kind of expanding some of the para categories as well as doing some DEI initiatives to try to increase the events that we can produce.
So that sounds fascinating. I mean, mixed rowing, that's very novel for a regatta that's not just for masters.
Absolutely. It's
Tell me
been
more.
nice.
Why do you do it? Who comes?
Well, it just gives everybody more opportunity, particularly as you get into different classifications and age groups and along the master's side of things. Some programs struggle to, as a regatta that predominantly does larger boats, sometimes that becomes a problem for the vast majority of clubs in our area because there's so many that they're almost like stratified and you get to pick and choose which one you want to go to. So some clubs have 20 people, some have 200. And so this just ups the opportunity for everybody.
So basically people can come and enter multiple events on the water.
Absolutely.
And do they boat share as well? Because I figure 200 people, that's a very large boat trailer if it's one boat per crew.
Yeah, I mean, typically if we're doing the in-person regatta, we've got a large staging area for all the trailers, and there's quite a bit of trailer sharing to get everybody down there. Because as a competition that typically has about 5,000 competitors or more, it requires some coordinating.
And go on, that's your job, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit now about what's going to be happening this year. You've already hinted that there's a virtual element. How did you come to realize that you couldn't run a normal on-water regatta?
I think it was a long time coming. We, for most of the year, had 3 plans. There was the idea of normal regatta, a virtual regatta, and a singles, maybe and doubles regatta. The singles and doubles regatta, when we looked at it from a fiscal point of view, was not going to work out. So then we started to pursue, hopefully we had a lot of optimism that maybe things would turn around and we'd be able to have a normal regatta for a long time. And then the city informed us before they did it, but that they were likely to reject our permit, which meant we couldn't have the regatta anyway. And that's when we finally made the decision, when the city said there was, and they did eventually reject our permit, that we probably weren't going to be able to have the regatta. We started to pursue working with Time Team, who we're very excited to work with, and in this sort of new novel area where we're doing team boats. Most people, when they attend an indoor rowing regatta, they're doing the single boat, right? It's just themselves. This is great because instead of having 8 people each do a 2K and averaging their times and that being the overall time of the boat starts and finishes together. All 8 people, they cross the start line together, they cross the finish line together, and the time is constantly being averaged so that they can do that, so that they end up in a situation where they feel like they're in the boat together because they all start and finish at the same time. So once we realized that we had to go in that direction, that's what we decided to do. We also know that there are plenty of people that still want to compete on the water, and maybe they've never come to the Crew Classic, but they're able to go out in the 8s and 4s, unlike those of us in California that aren't allowed to do that. So we also added the on the water element, which is, in our case, it's for masters and juniors. It's 2 by 1250 with 5 minutes rest in between. And we ask that you go, if you're going to go east-west on one, you go west-east on the other, essentially turn around 180 degrees and go back. And that's to neutralize your conditions. So if you're in tidal water or on a river, it makes it fair. So we did that for the on the water portion, and it is something that actually a lot of people are excited about. I was surprised, and a lot of our interest has been international. So I know you, Rebecca, had actually reached out to me, which is how we kind of ended up in this discussion. And it's exciting to me. I love the fact that, it looks like we're going to have boats from New Zealand, Ireland, Australia. Like, these people just keep reaching out, and everybody's very excited to be a part of Crew Classic this year, which is, as somebody who's running a regatta, it's exciting to see. And it makes me really happy that we can give that to people.
So do you think that the head count will be similar to a normal year?
I don't know that it'll be as high as in a normal year. I do think that I think we'll have significantly more competitors. Well, obviously we'll have more competitors than we would have if we had canceled. But we are still adding boats all the time. Just before I came on, we had like another 3 or 4 boats add. And so they just keep coming and they're trickling in. I've been told that there are clubs nationwide that are planning on having a bunch of boats in the regatta, but they haven't entered them yet. And I guess that's the that's the way it goes with virtual regattas. There's no urgency. People are just like, I can enter my boat on the last day. It's fine. And by the way, the last day to enter is March 19th at about midnight, 11:59 p.m. Pacific time. So that's our time zone. But they are coming in, and I'm excited. I think, the collegiate side getting together, like the Copley Cup and the Jessup Whittier, and talking to all these college coaches, it's just the fact that they can offer a race to their athletes who haven't had one, that they can, we're offering trophies and the seating for next year for the ergometer racing. And the trophies it's a big deal to athletes to win a trophy. So it's exciting that we're going to be able to do that for everyone, and to put on a crew classic. This is a regatta people love. It's a fun regatta. It's outdoors. There's a big tent normally. You get to go shopping. I expect next year for the shopping to go very well. People are like, I haven't bought anything in 2 years.
Don't they say that the ideal number of row suits or trow is N+1?
Yeah.
That sounds about right. Absolutely. And we're supposed to have one with JL this year. They're going to sponsor one of our San Diego Crew Classic Uni. And those are things that people like them. Last year's was like a sunset. It was so pretty. And it had people rowing in the sunset with palm trees. It was beautiful. So I do love unisuits. They're fun. And only a rower would ever say that, right? And probably mostly a rower girl.
I had a girlfriend, Tegwin, if you're listening, this is you, who had a rail in her bedroom, and each one of them had a separate hanger. So they were all hung up. Beautiful.
Oh, wow. Oh, mine are just
Nice.
crammed in the drawer in my bedroom. So your friend is much more organized than I am.
Now, for people who are still keen to get involved, tell people where they can find out more about the San Diego Crew Classic Regatta.
So crewclassic.org is probably the best place to go, and click on the virtual regatta button. So there's a big red button on our landing page. Click on that and it'll take you to all of the virtual regatta information. It'll also take you to a link where you can go and you can register, which is on Regatta Central. Our erg racing will be March 27th this year. So that's Saturday, March 27th. And the on the water racing is from March 19th to March 26th. So you have to sign up by the 19th. You'll get a link. You go out and you race with your crew, and then you upload your data to the link that you're sent. And that's how you enter the race for the on the water portion.
And Craig, what are some final thoughts from you? What are the challenges that you think you're going to face in your role this year?
I mean, truthfully, I think it's really just a matter of getting people registered and getting people involved and answering a bunch of the questions involved with that. And the biggest thing for most people to, I think, take away from this is because we're situated with Time Team and you're going to be running a race that starts and stops with everybody else on your team for the erg races, you don't have to be in the same place. You can have 8 people in 8 different locations, international, national, side by side at the boathouse if your COVID regulations allow for that, or 8 people signing in from their homes, being able to run their 2Ks and see the 2,000 meters tick down. That is actually a representation of the cumulative effect of all 8 people on that piece. I think that's really the big thing that most people, we can actually provide a race experience, a race day experience, while you're sitting on your erg at home, potentially. And that's the biggest thing.
Are you running heats and semifinals and finals, or is it just one-off?
It'll be one-offs.
Everybody will submit their average 2K, and we can base seating on that.
Brilliant. Fantastic. And I'm keen to learn, is this a world first for this averaging?
It's been done before. I think it was done at the Dutch Indoor Rowing Championships, but we're definitely the first regatta to do it this way, where it is all team boats that I know of.
Well, Bobbie, Craig, thank you so much for coming on Rowing Chat to tell us a little bit more about the San Diego Crew Classic. I wish you all the best for this year's event, and of course, as a competitor, I'm likely to be in your event stats. I really think the innovation is just fantastic. And I sincerely hope that a large number of the Rowing Chat listeners will take advantage of hearing about this to go and find out a bit more for themselves at crewclassic.org and will register to race themselves in this classic event. This has been Rowing Chat with me, Rebecca Caro, focusing on some of the really innovative rowing businesses that we have out there. Till next time, bye-bye.